you also have in your committee Asaduddin Owaisi, who has famously criticized this amendment, saying that it actually encroaches on the freedoms of Muslims. Since he's in a committee, have you not had conversations with him? Have you not had dialogue with him? Perhaps tell a reason with him about what makes sense to pass.
No, of course we do. We do have open deliberations, discussions about the issues in the committee and outside of the committee as well. But unfortunately, Vinamra, in this country, when it comes to issues with respect to the Muslim community, there has been a very concerted attempt at blatantly lying through the teeth to the Muslim community and creating a sense of fear among them. Because without creating the sense of fear, you cannot create a vote bank. And I would hold the so-called secular leaders and the Muslim leaders responsible for this fear psychosis and this vote bank politics. Mr. Owaisi and the Congress party and the other secular leaders in the committee, they know that there is nothing in the proposed amendments that is against the Muslim community, but still they portray it that way. That's what they did even with the CAA. The CAA was essentially a legislation that spoke of granting citizenship to those refugees coming from the neighboring countries.
Sure.
It had nothing whatsoever dealing with taking away citizenship from anybody. But the whole narrative was that the CAA is going to come and it is going to take away the citizenship of the Muslims in the country. And months together, Shaheen Bagh protests were made. So essentially, this is the modus operandi of before in 2011, 12, 13, I still remember, especially 13, 14, 11, 12 years ago, the kind of misinformation campaign, the kind of fear psychosis campaign that was done all over the country, that if Modi ji becomes prime minister, all Muslims will be in danger. Muslims khatre mein padenge, sabko desh se bahar kar denge ye log. This was the kind of narrative that was created. What has happened in the last 12 years? Nothing. The minorities are more safer in this country the last 10, 12 years. So essentially, whether it is Mr. Owaisi or whether it is, the so-called secular parties, all of these Congress and CPM, all of these parties, they essentially know that there is nothing in the Waqf Amendment Bill that is against the Muslim community. They also know that the act as it stands today is draconian in nature. It is in fact not helping the Muslim community. If you come to Karnataka and talk to the Waqf board in Karnataka or go to Maharashtra and talk to them, they will tell you that a large number of Waqf property is illegally encroached upon or illegally sold by the mutawallis, meaning those people who are trustees or in charge of the properties.
For their own personal gain?
For their personal gains. In fact, in Karnataka, about 10 years ago, the State Minorities Commission had come up with a report. And that report said that the Waqf properties in Karnataka have been sold or encroached upon by many leaders, mostly by the Congress party, and the amount, the total valuation was around 2 lakh crore rupees. 2 lakh crore rupees worth of Waqf property in Karnataka is alleged to have been encroached or sold illegally by many senior Congress leaders. An official report to this effect was made.
If you want to watch small segments of the podcast, subscribe to Dostcast Clips.
But the so-called secular leaders do not speak about this.
What I was surprised by is that the Sufis actually support the new bill. I understand that they have a slightly less hardline stance when it comes to Islam. They have a more free interpretation of Islam. It says that the All India Sufi Sajjadan Nashib Council.
The Sufis are in favor of the bill.
Yeah. There are
so many Muslim organizations across the country, so many of them, who have come before the JPC and have given representations in support of the amendment. They say that the act as it stands today is opaque, has no transparency, gives unbridled powers to the mutawallis to illegally.
Why is it so controversial in Parliament then? Why is it creating such uproar across social media?
I told you why. Because there is a section that benefits out of creating this fear psychosis. What this has essentially been the definition of secularism in India. If you look at how secular parties and secular, so-called secular, I mean the self-proclaimed secular leaders have behaved, this is their SOP. You take any issue, they have blatantly lied to the Muslim community and they have tried to create a sense of fear among them and have then positioned themselves as the champions of them.
I'm sure you must have, I'm sure you must have studied how other places of worship are treated in the country. From what I know, Anand Ranganathan once told me that the Places of Worship Act in India is also quite draconian because temples largely come under state control then. Will the same effect be carried out onto the Waqf places? Sorry, what I'm trying to say is, it says here that some of the Waqf land or some of the Waqf places will also have government control as opposed to having independent Waqf member on it. The same way you had...
See, the issue with Waqf is completely different than what it is with, say, control of temples. That's a completely different matter and it needs to be dealt comprehensively, perhaps in another podcast or something. But what is actually happening with Waqf, the Waqf Act, is that on one hand, there is a lot of opaqueness and it is not giving the right kind of management that Waqf properties need. This is one problem. On the other, it has given the Waqf board such draconian provisions that it is resulting in blatant encroachment of lands.
Yeah.
Now in Karnataka, you may have been following the news the last few, couple of weeks. Just in one district of Bijapur, close to 20,000 acres of land is claimed, land owned by farmers is claimed by Waqf board to be its own land. Now, do you have any documentation to prove that it is your land? No. 53 ASI properties, it's being claimed as Waqf properties. The district hospital is being claimed as Waqf property. The school, the government school where Sir M. Vishweshwaraya studied, that is being claimed as Waqf property. Karnataka's Vidhan Sauda is claimed as Waqf property. They have even claimed Parliament of India to be Waqf property. 200 acres in and around the Parliament is being claimed as Waqf property. So this madness, that needs to be stopped. And I told you, all of this encroachments, all of these mad claims that are being made, these are made because the statute supports it.